but these so-called
Yeah.
rubber-stamped so-called gurus. So they're not setting a very good example of pure chanting or pure Krishna consciousness.
So it seems.
Okay, we got Nimai Nitai Prabhu from China, I think. Hare Krishna
Hi.
Prabhu, welcome.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
I'd like to offer my obeisances to Nara Narayan Prabhu,
Hi, Prabhu.
who is very well known in the
Blessings
Vaishnava world.
my obeisances and blessings to you completely.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. It's an honor to be here and hear from you, Prabhu. I have heard and read of your service that you did in Prabhupada's time. The following Srila Prabhupada series, when you comment on there was a Rath Yatra, I believe, I think it was 1970, when Subhadra's cart, the wheels collapsed and you were on it, and somehow by Krishna's arrangement, you were used to raise the cart with 50 men. You were commanding so many men to make the wheel round again, and then you kind of had them protect Subhadra's cart so that nobody came in. I remember that, so I just want to be mentioning it. No, of course not. But my point is that you were saying this in following Srila Prabhupada series, right? So so it's something that I remember that you were involved in, one of the pastime of Lord Jagannath, and I think it was wonderful.
Well, I built all three Rath Yatra cars for 1971, and the wheels survived several other Rath Yatras. However, I had sent a connection for the turning mechanism to a top grade registered welder so that it would be a powerful weld. Well, that's what collapsed, and the Rath Yatra car dropped at that time in 1970, but never since. But who made the Rath Yatra cars after that?
What was his name? Jayananda Prabhu.
Oh yeah, Jayananda decided to go with metal wheels, but metal wheels without any suspension between the spokes. So those are the ones that I had to help rescue.
Right.
And because as it rolled, it's very heavy and hit bumps, it flattened out between the spokes. So the Rath was going bump, 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 bump.
And became octagonal.
Yeah. So anyhow, I've always used many wheels, 4 wheels. And
Srila Prabhupada actually had written a letter.
I think if I ever built another Rath Yatra car, it would be with the right number of wheels. 8, 12, and 16. 8 for Subhadra, 12 for Balaram, and 16 for Lord Jagannath.
We know Suvarna Prabhu too. He's in China. I spoke to him a couple of times.
Oh,
yeah. Oh,
right.
wow.
Savarna Krishna Prabhu, yeah, he had a car accident a few days ago.
No.
Some big truck ran into the back of his car. He's all right though. He's fine. But here in China, cars accident that happen quite often. It's quite.
Was he injured?
No, he's fine. He's okay. He's with his wife. He lives here in South China also. He's got his son and all, and he sometimes comes to the temple.
When you say South China, what part is that?
Yeah, so we have a small center temple in Guangzhou city, which
Guangzhou. I've been to Guangzhou.
Oh yeah. Huh?
My son Kuba and I went there in 2005 or so because we were trying to prevent the encroachment of Narayan Maharaj into ISKCON. He was trying to take ISKCON devotees and make his own centers. So we went there and we preached and chanted to an extreme degree, and those centers were just dissolved. Nothing could happen there.
Nice to hear that. Yeah.
in
Yeah,
1975. We're only there
there
for
are
less
some
than 2
followers.
weeks.
There's still some followers of Narayan Maharaj, but mainly in Hong Kong.
Yeah, yeah. But also, we went to Manning. Manning is a short airplane flight west from Guangzhou.
Maoming, maybe? Maoming?
Oh, could be.
With the M, Maoming, I think, or it could be Maoning too. There's so many of them. Is it a relatively good sized city, or it's a small town?
Yes, it's a relatively good sized place.
Yeah, so I guess it's Maoming. Yeah.
I think it was what I thought it was spelled Manning. So that would make it Manning.
Manning. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, there must be one also named Manning. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love China. In fact, I looked everywhere in China, and I said, if the leaders took up Krishna consciousness, China would become a perfect place.
Yeah, actually the population in China, Chinese people are very sober-minded. That's what Srila Prabhupada said. Also, there's a letter like that. And it's a fact that if the leaders, as you say, would agree at least to let people practice religion here, Krishna consciousness would spread like wildfire. That is for sure.
Would spread like wildfire, even wilder than that thing that they banished. What was it?
The what, Prabhu?
They banished a yogic belief system.
Oh, right. Yeah. The Falun Gong.
Yeah, Falun Gong.
Yeah.
So what Gandhi, for whom I have very little other respect, did in India, he went to factories and made a rule that every morning before they go to work, that they have kirtan and chant and take a little prasadam. So if they did that in China, China would just jump at it all at once. I think the nature of the Chinese people is to go for something that's good.
And they're very obedient to authorities. So if the authority would, tell them that's what you have to do once a week or whatever, they would follow. And actually, they're very, they have beliefs. They're religious.
They're what?
His connection froze, Nara Narayan Prabhu.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Okay. Nimai Nitai Prabhu, you're not audible. Your video froze if you're hearing this. So let's see. Okay, maybe he'll join again. So let's get the program going. We'll start off with Srila Prabhupada's chanting happening.
Yes. And let it be known that the reason that we're playing this record is because that is where Prabhupada introduced Krishna to us. And we, practically speaking, universally didn't accept it, which did everything else. We built a huge movement, we created GBC, but we didn't actually realize that record was our doorway to Krishna Loka. Go ahead.
Okay, let me get the chanting going here. Srila Prabhupada's transcendental sound vibration. Okay.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay, I think it's about 5 minutes now. Okay, we have another Nitai. I think this Nitai is from, which Nitai is this? There was another Nitai that joined, Nimai Nitai. I think this is a Nitai is from San Francisco. Okay, so Narayan Prabhu, you want to start off by reading that email that you sent?
It's okay. I'd prefer if Rupa, that Elizabeth read it, but
Okay,
it's up.
let me get that loaded and we'll get things going here. Okay, let me see here 1 second. All right, Nitai, you wanted to say something on the Zoom meeting, I think? Okay, Nimai Nitai Prabhu is here. Again, he's joining.
Yeah, should not phony ISKCON because they're PowerPod ISKCON. We could just call it ISKCON corporate,
Oh,
the business ISKCON.
What's happening?
yeah, your audio is not clear, Nitai Prabhu.
Is Elizabeth going to read that?
No, not right now.
Yeah, I know it's cutting off now. Shit.
Oh, I can read it.
Okay,
It's acting up for some reason.
Okay, Nimai Nitai Prabhu, welcome back, Prabhu. I guess you had some
Yes.
connection problems. Prabhu,
Yes.
do you have some questions or comments you'd like to make before we get things going here? Thank you for joining.
No, thank you for allowing me to join. No, sure, we can have whatever discussion is going on.
Okay, so Narayan Prabhu wrote a paper and we're just gonna read it through the email. He sent it to me via email, so we'll just read that. Let me get that things loaded. In the meantime, if you have any comments, questions, realizations, or anything, please feel free to share.
Sure. Thank you.
Who do you want
So
to
yes,
read
if
it?
I get this,
If you want, I can read it, but I like it when other people read it.
1 second, we're not there yet. Just hold on, Narayan Prabhu.
Oh, okay, no, I'm holding on.
Yes, Nimai Nitai Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
yeah, I'm just saying if I get disconnected again, it's because I need a VPN to use Zoom in China.
Oh.
So
Acha, okay,
yeah,
I understand.
and it's becoming harder and harder to get connected here. So.
Now, I wanted to say I'm grateful to meet Nimai Nitai Prabhu. I've seen him on YouTube all over. So yeah, finally I see the legend.
No. I'm just trying to do whatever little service I can do.
Jai.
Yeah, I finally get to meet one of the warriors.
Well, I'm just trying to repeat what Prabhupada has given us as purely as I can.
I see the sincerity from far. Thank you. All
Hare
glories.
Krishna. Jai.
Okay, 1 second here. I'm trying to load this thing up. I'm just having some problem here. Okay. So, Nimai Nitai Prabhu, you guys have centers in California or no?
Not in California. We have some devotees in New Jersey. We have some devotees in Texas. We have some devotees in Los Angeles. Texas is, I would say, an established center where there are some regular programs and all going on. We have maybe about 10 devotees there that are in the congregation. LA, it's basically a family of devotees that are there. They're doing book distribution sometimes. And it's about the same thing in New Jersey also. Some devotees are there doing book distribution and organizing some little programs here and there.
That's absolutely wonderful. And I would like you to know that they are welcome to come in and join either silently or participating in our League for 10K program. League for 10K means that we are looking ahead to 10,000 years from now. It's very important. Everybody has wives, children, etc. That's very important to do. I did it myself, 9 kids. But when you look ahead, you'll see that the 10,000 years from now is the end of the golden age of Kali. That's when Lord Chaitanya vanishes from the planet. and when chanting Hare Krishna is no longer in offering, no longer an option. So that's why we ask people to, you could bring your whole group and have them sit silently, or take part if you wish.
Okay,
Yes, I think there should be some cooperation, between devotees who are
Yes,
who are like-minded.
The common goal.
exactly.
certainly, yeah. It has to be. There's a lot of Prabhupada disciples who think in the similar lines. That Prabhupada is the guru, for Diksha Guru.
Yeah.
And then his original books should be, the main source for inspiration. His audios are there. So, yeah, these are the things very common to a lot of Prabhupada disciples.
Like
Yeah,
we have
well,
to get
everybody
together.
wants to know, who is Prabhupada and what did he leave us? And why did he come and stay for the length of time that he did, and then enter Mahasamadhi, leaving us all alone in Kali Yuga? And I think the
Mahasamadhi.
answer is that he left in his books the means to understand the values of material life and of spiritual life, but that the real activity will come when we realize it's up to us to bring Prabhupada to the human race. Yuga, decade after decade, century after century, etc. So we're going to reincarnate. Let's reincarnate as persons who are in a temple where Prabhupada is worshipped. Only Prabhupada is worshipped, and no extra gurus floating around. What do you think?
What's the sorry?
It's about worshiping Duatamadikari as being the bona fide link to Krishna, and that's what it is. It's
Exactly.
not so not
But
not trying to.
that has been diluted enormously in the last 50 years.
What is the Mahasamadhi? And I wanted to say that like we should get together, since all of us around the world should get together because we have a common goal. And the other team, they are tight knit. They're really close to each other, and they know what each other's doing, and they got their back no matter what.
This is your group.
No, the other group, the bad guys, the corporate.
Well, the bad guys, they're just working just like any corporation. They're supposing you have a restaurant, big restaurant that gets famous people in it. Well, they're busy running around pleasing the famous people and getting big tips. That's what it is. They are offering an opportunity to take prasadam or something, but at the same time, they want people to become their disciples rather than Prabhupada's disciples.
Are they more organized in a way, or more connected, or have more of a better structure?
The ISKCON devotees?
ISKCON leadership and everything, the whole ISKCON.
Well, some of it's more organized than others, but what we're looking for is to find the people that are disaffected, disenchanted with the outcome, and would say, I thought we were going to get Prabhupada. All we do is get Prabhupada on a picture in the wall, like a picture of Jesus in a Catholic church. So where's the real teaching? Where is the real Prabhupada? We want that. And that's what we're trying to create, is an avenue to that. So they will get the real thing and be as tight-knit. The good guys will become as tight-knit as the bad guys.
Okay, so should we start reading? Rupa, can you take over for the reading, Prabhu?
Sure. Srila Prabhupada manifested in the USA, and for various reasons, we early devotees took initiation from him. 3 diverse sub-movements gradually formed after having taken initiation from Srila Prabhupada. Number 1, the first consisted of initiated men and women who caught up the mood of the 1966 Happening album and joyfully set out to open as much as 24 temples that strictly followed the mood of the chanting of that album and did not deviate in their chanting from what was clearly offered by Srila Prabhupada. Number 2, around the year 1980, when the so-called leaders of the growing number of temples
I
began
should say
to
1970.
Okay, around the year 1970, when the so-called leaders of the growing number of temples began to release their pent-up lust for power, they openly rejected the order of their spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. They introduced their own melodies, which they considered to be, which they considered were designed to be capable of drawing more devotees to their own centers, which were growing in number and basically becoming more independent from Srila Prabhupada, even to the extent of chanting their own melodies in the face of Srila Prabhupada, even though he had strictly shown the example of his displeasure when other mridanga beats were played and different dance steps were arrogantly displayed in his presence. At the same time that the GBC refused to accept the direction of management, the same men who were supposed to be elected for renewable 3-year terms, they arrogantly proclaimed that the GBC was meant to exist without consent or votes from anyone except themselves. The third category of devotees, which consisted of the burnt remnants of the first class, found themselves either stuck inside the GBC structure or doomed to be exfoliated back into the world of Maya. The League for 10K has the clear objective to destroy the false basis of Group 2 and 3 and restoring ISKCON to the previous standard displayed by Srila Prabhupada. The League is also determined to bring the initiates of category number 1 back to their Krishna-designated conscious leadership of ISKCON. Note: we must establish Srila Prabhupada, his unchanged books, and original kirtan melodies into a reformed ISKCON led by the leaders of the League for 10K, who we are daily inviting to give up their cloaks of false prestige, i.e. Guru, GBC, etc., and return to their humble roots as simply disciples of Srila Prabhupada, seeking his transcendental lotus feet without the desire for disciples or any other such anarthas. The rest of us must surrender to the process of common sense. At this point, we can certainly read Shastra, etc., but we must have analytical minds that are yearning for the survival of the exact form of Srila Prabhupada's movement. Shastra leads us to Srila Prabhupada, but common sense shows us how to practically implement everything that Srila Prabhupada has offered to us.
Jai. Okay.
So what I'm suggesting is getting more, people can become saturated in Prabhupada's books in their own homes or however they want to. But in the League for 10K, we need to draw on people that are capable of common sense, meaning, okay, Prabhupada did all of this. What does it mean? And how can we do it? And does anything need to be fixed? That's common sense. And then we say, yeah, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. So the League for 10K is committed to being those people who can see that there is a need for common sense in changing, in restoring the movement the way Prabhupada had it. Introduced it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I want to raise a question here. So what is your understanding of the present day so-called ISKCON that is going on now? Is it
Mine?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's almost a few individuals that are interested in Prabhupada's original kirtans and Prabhupada, but everything else has devolved into groups and groups and groups. one group scrapes the next group creeps the next group, till you have a whole, like they're all gathered together like eggs under the hen, and so many hens. That's what's going on, and they are not interested in Prabhupada beyond the idea that if they chant their rounds and chant Hare Krishna and please their gurus who are not representing Prabhupada, that they will go back to Godhead at the end of this lifetime. Does that answer your question? Is there more to it?
It's an association of neophyte devotees. The leaders of ISKCON are at most neophyte devotees, if not, Vaishnava Paradis or Sahajas, whatever you want to name them. So in ISKCON, there's no possibility of coming to the Madhyamadikari platform, which is the platform where one can discriminate what is good, what is bad, who is on which platform can be recognized only by a Madhyamadikari. So
wow.
That is the problem in ISKCON, is that they are all talking, but none of them is qualified to categorize
to the Madhyamadikari platform.
Yes.
None of them.
That is the whole issue. Yeah, none of them. You cannot.
That's in the Nectar of Instruction, by the way. You're probably quite aware. In the 5th chapter of the
the 5th verse, yeah, Srila Prabhupada is making a distinction between the Kanishtadikari, Madhyamadikari, and who can be a spiritual master. Prabhupada ends it, therefore initiation must be accepted from an Uttama Adhikari. I think that's the last sentence. Yes.
Exactly.
So
you're undoubtedly familiar with that quote. So now to find the Madhyamadikaris, there have to be high-level Kanistha Adhikaris that want to give up the level of Madhyam life, because Madhyam life is very cluttered with family life and everything like that. Not Madhyam, the Kanistha life is very cluttered with, everything. If you want to go back to Godhead, you must be able to enter the Madhyamadikari platform. Do you have any way to elaborate on that?
Yes, so the Kanishtadikari is an unsteady platform. Srila Prabhupada in the 9.2 purport of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, he states that even a second-class platform will not fall down. So Madhyamadikari platform is actually very exalted because he is situated in pure devotional service, although he's not fully purified himself, but he has accepted the pure process of not speculating and karma jnana.
I'm very excited because you're the only person I've talked to in quite ever really, that has understood the Madhyamadikari platform and what it is for. Prabhupada told me, gave me a private conversation of about 45 minutes describing Kanistha, Madhyam, and Uttamadikari. So because of that, I've been very, very observant, trying to find, is anyone reaching Madhyamadikari? And the answer is, in my opinion, no.
Yes.
What do you want to, what do you say?
Yes, because Madhyamadikari, he's fully surrendered to the spiritual master. So how can he deviate? So he's, of course, can I read something? This is from Harinam Chintamani, chapter 8.
Absolutely.
So Krishna Prema, Krishna Bhakti, Maitri Archarane, Balishete Kripara Dveshu Upakasa. So Karilena Madhyama Bhakta Shuddha Bhakta. So Madhyama Bhakta Shuddha Bhakta. Hare Hana Krishna Nama Adhikara Karena Arjana. So this is Harinam Chintamani by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who has realized the teachings of Haridas Thakur. So here's the translation. One who has love for Krishna, who makes friends with the devotees, who shows mercy to the neophytes and ignorant, and who avoids the envious, is a Madhyam Bhakta. So this we have also in the nectar of instruction, right? But then here's what he adds, and is considered a pure devotee, a Shuddha Bhakta. He is qualified to chant the holy name of Krishna. So sometimes we see in Srila Prabhupada's teaching that he says pure devotee, and sometimes Prabhupada also refers to the Madhyamadikari as pure devotee. There is a place where Prabhupada speaks, it's in the Nectar of Devotion. He says there is the surrendered devotee, there is the perfected devotee, and there is the eternally perfected devotee. So the perfected devotee refers to the Madhyamadikari because he has understood how to surrender to the pure devotee. So that is actually a very high platform. It's not easy to reach the Madhyamadikari platform. But when you keep everybody on the Kanishta platform, you don't allow them to get properly connected to Prabhupada, you're opaque, right? You're not a transparent via medium between Prabhupada and the neophyte. You're opaque, you're blocking them. Then they cannot get the proper transcendental knowledge. And in this way, they cannot advance towards that platform. So they think a conditioned soul to be a Mahabhagavata. They see a Mahabhagavata as being a conditioned soul. So everything is topsy-turvy. So there's no head or tail.
Right. Okay. So you were reading from Harinam Chintamani, right, Prabhu?
Yeah.
What verse again? Or what?
Yeah. So this is from in chapter 8. So
Chapter.
I did not. Yeah. Harinam Chintamani chapter. This is how I saved it.
Okay.
Which verse
Okay.
exactly? There's just a few verses per chapter, so it's not too hard to
Okay.
find.
Okay, got it. So, so you were talking about the Madhyamadikari stage, and the Madhyamadikari acts on behalf of Srila Prabhupada as an officiating acharya, right?
Yes. The Madhyamadikari, he's the transparent via medium between the acharya and the neophyte, So he is not, the transcendental knowledge doesn't come from him because he has not realized actually what he's, just like Prabhupada is saying, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right, how much realization do we have of this? We are also preaching like that, but are we actually on that platform of knowing this? So no. So we are the link between Prabhupada and the neophyte, So the transcendental knowledge actually comes from Prabhupada, and because we are trying to humbly serve him and so on, we are bona fide carriers of that message, but we're not the one who holds the realization. So that's the difference between the Madhyamadikari and the Nuttama. There's another place where Prabhupada says that the Madhyam still has doubts, This is in a class, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 22, Los Angeles, August 25th, 1972. So Srila Prabhupada is saying the first class devotee is without any doubt. The third class devotee, he's accepting, here is God, that's all. But he has many doubts. The second class, although he has got doubts, he's accepting on the authority of Vedas. That is second class. And the first class, he knows perfectly well, here is God. So Prabhupada is saying that here is God. He's speaking about the deity. So the Madhyamadikari, he still has doubts whether the deity is Krishna directly. It's still not realized for him. So that's why he is not qualified to be a bona fide spiritual master, because he cannot give the highest realization.
So you're agreeing with a verse from the Nectar of Instruction where Prabhupada is saying, therefore initiation must be accepted from the Uttama Adhikari.
Yes, no doubt. Of course, there's no question about that, because you don't make it back to Godhead.
Yeah, because I'd like to add to that.
Go ahead.
The Madhyadhikari, like when he preaches, like it's not genuine. There's doubt coming out of his preaching, so it's not fully from the heart. But from the Uttamadhikari, like it's genuine. It's like a full conviction coming out.
It's a realized knowledge, yes.
But the Madhyamadhikari, Prabhupada said it here, his faith is based on the Shastra. So actually he doesn't have doubt when he quotes Shastra. It's on the faith of Shastra, but it's not realized. Exactly. It's not fully realized. He hasn't realized completely. He's
amazing.
Eternal servant of the
This
Lord.
Intelligence is incredible.
I don't. I hope you're not talking about me, Prabhu. I'm not.
So
Yeah,
please
me
continue,
neither. You
Prabhu.
just have to feel it.
Whoever is speaking, I'm amazed. So,
This is
Ramachandra,
Prabhupada. It's not Prabhupada.
would you like me to share what Prabhupada told me privately about the role of Kanista Madhyam and Uttamadikari?
Sure. Yeah, you can share that. Yes.
May I share that?
Yes.
Ask our guest agrees.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yes, please, please.
Okay. My understanding of what he said expanded beyond the 45 minutes that he spent telling me.
So where was this? Can you give a reference to where it was and what year
In
this was?
Bombay, in about probably 1975 or so.
Okay, Bombay, 1975. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I happened to be sitting in a room with Srila Prabhupada. He suddenly turns to me and shares this with me without any elaboration, very succinct. And I'm sitting there totally thunderstruck because I can't understand where this is coming from or why he is telling me, But I kept it to myself since 1975 until recently, because I didn't want to talk to people that were not able to deal with. Is the images coming back on, Ramachandra?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, good. So Prabhuji, if I may, reveal or whatever Prabhupada said, and it's, what Prabhupada said is just as good as what has been written by the other acharyas. But what he told me was this. He says, he made it clear that ISKCON is what you say, it's the third class platform, and it is the not the Madhyam or Uttama Adhikari platform whatsoever by its nature. It's a platform sort of like he didn't say this, but it's apparent to me that ISKCON is like a magic carpet that materialists can climb on and gradually become purified over a period of time. And so as they become purified, they may become interested in being like pujaris and a very high level of kanista. Kanista is huge, right? It goes from people dragged in off the streets to people that are just living nice householder lives to people that are looking for the next step to how to get back to home, back to Godhead. So what he said to me was this. He says, and I've read from Bhaktivinoda Thakur and stuff like that also, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati quotes from. And he said that when a person is tired of being in the Kanista Adhikari platform, which if ISKCON becomes global, will be a huge platform. And that at that point, he looks to Paramatma. Please, Lord Paramatma, please tell me what is the next step. So Lord Paramatma leads him to the Madhyam Adhikari platform, the secondary platform. And on that platform, the devotee is being slowly induced up. Prabhupada said that when we're all in this, but he said that for the Madhyam Adhikari, he becomes like inside of a bubble, which is the material world. He sees the material world as a bubble. And he is joined by Paramatma, who gradually ceases to give benefits, as he does in the material world to devotees, but and others, but he gradually induces the Madhyam Adhikari to give up the things of the Kanista Adhikari. So suppose the Kanista Adhikari is wonderful pujari. And at some point, the Kanista Adhikari is saying, if I want perfection, I can't get perfection by being my Kanista Adhikari Pujari, because the arti ceremonies we produce in ISKCON are worship of Vishnu, in the style of worship of Vishnu. And that's what Prabhupada said many times about his deities. They are being worshipped in the mood of Vishnu. Why? Because if we were trying to worship in the mood of Krishna, imagine we'd be trying to chase after cowherd boys and we're trying to do this or that. It would not work. So what he said then was, rather than being in the Kanista Adhikari forever, the Madhya Adhikari has to purify himself to come to being a person who can worship Radha and Krishna. And that's the purpose of the Madhya Adhikari. And so Krishna, the Paramatma leads us upwards into that category. Prabhupada made clear that Paramatma, and Bhaktisiddhanta also makes clear that at the time when you're entering the Madhya Adhikari, you're still connected to the spiritual master. But after that time, the spiritual master takes a secondary role in the process and stays outside of that bubble, so that they're watching for you to not make mistakes. And what shall I say? Paramatma leads the Kanista Adhikari up the scale, where he realizes that he is meant to become a Madhya Adhikari. So as he is led up the scale, he can be, so many doubts can occur, etc. These are corrected either by Paramatma or by Prabhupada on the outside of the tube, as it were. But then Paramatma leads you up more and more to the Uttama Adhikari platform. And at that time, he is, as it were, determined to help you come up. So gradually, when you come up into the Madhya Adhikari platform, you begin to have consciousness of you can't see Vishnu, Krishna, but you become conscious that Krishna's there through a curtain. I think other devotees have had that experience, high-level devotees. And so in that curtained off area, you're doing a mime, a process of moving towards sharing experiences with Vishnu. And in that role, Krishna, once you're giving up the materialistic Kanista zone, that Krishna begins to be pleased. And when he begins to be pleased, he begins to exchange pleasure through that same curtain with the Kanista, with the Madhya Adhikari. And as the Madhya Adhikari advances more and more, he is giving more and more pleasure to Krishna through that curtain, and Krishna reciprocates through that curtain. So at some point, the Prabhupada says the Kanista Adhikari gives complete pleasure to Krishna by not thinking of not thinking of the Kanista platform, but thinking only of the platform of Krishna, and the devotee develops his rasa with Krishna by giving pleasure to Krishna through the curtain. And as he becomes more and more successful, the curtain begins to weaken. And at some time, he is feeling pleasure and the beginnings of his rasa coming out of Krishna Loka through the curtain to the Madhya Adhikari. and the Madhyamadikari receiving this and not rejecting it and not making it a Kanistha experience, relishes it, but he cannot not see Krishna yet because his devotion is incomplete. So when his devotion becomes complete, then Prabhupada said the curtain, where am I? The curtain of Maya, he said the curtain Maya rolls up, and Krishna rolls it up, and he becomes an Uttamadikari. At that time, he comes under the protection of Yogamaya, not Mahamaya. When he comes under the protection of Yogamaya, then he can see Krishna face to face. And that is where his rasa leads. So in that position, he has assembled or obtained a reciprocal relationship with Krishna that is his eternal rasa. So that rasa with Krishna is eternal. It's your eternal relationship with Krishna. And he experiences it as perfection, and he wants to draw you up into his eternal pastimes. So as you become willing, the curtain sheds some more. You're no longer in the dark area of Mahamaya, but now you're come out and you're able to see Krishna and relate to Krishna in that stage. And at that point, that's when you become an Uttama Adhikari as well.
Yes.
Now, Rupa put up
Okay.
something that she wanted to share.
Nimai Nitai Prabhu, or Nitai Prabhu has his hand raised. Prabhu, you wanted to make a comment or realization or question something?
Yeah. I think when Nara Narayan, His Holiness, he said that ISKCON was not one of those, was like a neophyte. It's because I think when they joined Prabhupada, they were basically fed all the knowledge that they would have to repeat like a puppet or like a parrot. They didn't have like full conviction or realization. So they were just repeating what they were told in a way. And they
were repeating what they were told, but they had not accessed it completely from Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah,
which left them in a position to have material desire.
Yeah, they were not coming up with their own visions and ideas on what they really have, and they didn't have their own ways to sharing it and giving it. So they were just
if they could have all become Madhyamantikaris. They had all the tools in their hand, but they chose not to.
Yeah,
exactly. Yes. So the problem is the distinction between pure devotional service and contaminated devotional service is not properly studied by the neophyte, and that's why he cannot understand what is his platform. He doesn't know where I am. Am I performing devotional service quoted with karma, quoted with jnana? So there's a nice verse, in the 11th canto, there's those 3 verses that Prabhupada often quotes, referring to the Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uttama. And he has actually translated these verses in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So maybe you could show that on screen. So it's in Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 74.
Okay, let me try to put that up. 1 second.
First of all, Prabhu, did you find any flaw in the presentation that I made?
No. That's you've heard it from Srila Prabhupada, and you've explained with your realization, and that is proper. That is correct. The only thing I would add is that the Kanishta Adhikari cannot attain the Madhyama platform unless he gets the association of a Madhyama Adhikari. And after that, the super soul, as you said, will be helping. But first, there has to be a connection.
Super soul is always helping. Even when we're materialists and we're eating garbage out of a garbage pit as pigs, Paramatma is the one that's showing us
Yeah.
where the
You have,
garbage
He's
you
is.
always
have the desire inside, your own desire.
yes.
And
The whole
Yeah,
flow of
the
transcendental
Paramatma
knowledge
is
is
with us.
always
He's
help.
Krishna. He comes with us into the hell of our material existences, and then he comes up with us into the neophyte stage of Kinesodakari. Then he brings us up, and then he reveals himself as Krishna, guiding us through the Madhyamadikari platform. And after that, you come up to the point of when Krishna and you develop your connect. It's like a magnet touching a piece of steel. Once the Madhyamadikari and Kinesodakari energy, when the Madhyamadikari becomes perfected through exchanges with Krishna, and those exchanges have to please Krishna. If they're not pleasing to Krishna, the Kinesodakari can be with the Madhyamadikari in that bubble material universe forever. But fortunately, he has that spark of desire to become a pure devotee. And that's why Prabhupada created ISKCON, to create pure devotees out of
I'd like to add something.
creatures like us. So anyhow, did you find the passage? Somebody's raising their hand.
Yeah, I'd like to add something. I just forgot. Sorry. I'll come back to it. Yeah, because
But your hand remembers.
yeah. Oh yeah, I got it. So when the ISKCON people joined, they were told that Krishna, that person, that two-legged person, two hands with the flute, that's God, and they were just going around saying, okay, this is God, but they didn't realize that, okay, yeah, this person, he's actually God. God is a person like that. And that's what Prabhupada was
Or
taught.
that I can go to Krishna, be brought up by Krishna into the Madhyam platform, and then become an Uttama Adhikari at topmost platform. Excuse me. Probably within not such a long period of time. I'm agreeing with you.
Nimai
So
Nitai
go
Prabhu,
ahead.
is this the verse?
Connect the concept
Yes.
of with the personality of Krishna.
Okay, go ahead, Nimai Nitai Prabhu.
Yes, so Prabhupada is translating here. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 11:247, but it's found in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, a Prakrita or materialistic devotee does not purposefully study the Shastra and try to understand the actual standard of pure devotional service. So that's very important, is that the neophyte devotee is not going to be trying to understand what is this bhakti yoga, what is this Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada is talking about prema and this. So what is it? He's not trying to read Prabhupada's books thoroughly and trying to dissect, what is karma yoga, what is jnana yoga, what is bhakti yoga in this way.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
continuing.
then as a result, chant offensively to the point that he can connect with Parama and be guided up this Madhyamadikari. They want to do something else.
Exactly. So how to come to chant without offense, all these things, yes. So that is not pondered upon the neophyte. Then consequently, he does not show proper respect to advanced devotees. And this is what happened, they started to, just like you were mentioning, and Nara Narayan Prabhu in 1970, how some leaders, they even locked up Srila Prabhupada, right? They tried to overtake the movement as early as 1970. So they were not careful. They were not taking baby steps. They tried to go too fast, and in this way they offended their spiritual master, and that was the beginning of the fall. Then it said he may, however, follow the regulative principles, learn from his spiritual master and from his family who worships the deity. He is to be considered on the material platform. Although he is trying to advance in devotional service, such a person is a Bhakta Praya, neophyte devotee, or Bhakta Abhas, for he is little enlightened by Vaishnava philosophy. So the lack of desire to understand what is pure devotional service, how can I get there, what is the next step I have to do, the lack of seriousness in trying to study Srila Prabhupada's books is what keeps us on the neophyte platform.
But once you've studied Prabhupada's books, even slightly, it's time for action.
Yes, it's not exactly. That's a very important point, that it's not just theory, it's also practice. Prabhupada's books is not like a novel that I stay at home and I read my book every day and I don't do any practical actions. because in Prabhupada's books, we find so many instructions that Prabhupada is telling us what to do. So it has to become active. Yeah.
Exactly. Can you just imagine people being Krishna conscious after having studied with Prabhupada, read the books, and become chanting and feeling ecstasy? Can you imagine what it would be like if they took up mridungas and kartals and went out and chanted like that recording that we played at the beginning of the session?
I like the tune in the 1967 San Francisco temple at Frederick Street. That was a good tune.
That one. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Like,
That's when I joined. That's when I was initiated in 1967 at Frederick Street.
okay. So there's some comments here from the 1972 edition of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 3, where Nimai Nitai Prabhu was talking about karma yoga, jnana yoga. So Prabhupada says here, where does it say here? So I'll just read this paragraph here. Sometimes these third-class persons in Krishna consciousness have some tendency toward karma yoga and jnana yoga, and sometimes they are disturbed. But as soon as the infection of karma yoga or jnana yoga is vanquished, they become second-class or first-class persons in Krishna consciousness. Then Srila Prabhupada's commentary says, faith in Krishna is also divided into 3 stages and described in Srimad Bhagavatam: first-class attachment, second-class attachment, and third-class attachment are also explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto. Those who
Please, I hate to say it, but please take into account
Mhm.
that the half of the 10th canto, 11th and 12th cantos were written, the commentaries by Vridananda.
Oh yeah, he's coming to Sacramento, I think, this week. So I'll get his number for you. Okay, those who have no faith, even after hearing about Krishna and the excellence of devotional service, who think that it is simply eulogy, find the path very difficult, even if they are supposedly engaged in devotional service. For them, there is very little hope in gaining perfection. Thus, faith is very important in the discharge of devotional service.
Yes. So here you see Prabhupada is saying above, when bhakti is above karma and jnana, then you become to second class. So that confirms, that the second class devotee is situated in he's surrendered to the spiritual master. He just tries to follow pure devotional service as it is. And then a bit above, you see that's the sentence I was saying. The third class person in Krishna consciousness may fall down, but when one is in the second class or first class, he does not fall down. So we can just imagine the standard of those gurus, right? Who have fallen down from. So
Yeah.
what's considered an actual fall down? They just stop chanting, or do they
It's
I
like
don't know.
a snowman or a straw man in the field. He dissolves very quickly, even though people may think he's a real human, but he's not.
Nitai Prabhu asked, what is a fall down, or what is considered a fall down?
Like, what's the real fall down?
The real
Yeah,
fall
so-
down, I can offer that the real fall down is not accepting the sound vibration of Srila Prabhupada as the pathway to seeing and living with and understanding and becoming an associate of Krishna. That's the fall down. Anybody who comes to ISKCON and hears, that's why we like to play that record that we played. Did you hear the record, by the way?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes, the Tompkins Park.
Well, that wasn't, I don't know, what's it in Tompkins Park? So whatever, that record from 1967, Prabhupada hadn't been overwhelmed by naysayers and crooks and stuff chanting over him and then offering other melodies and stuff like that. With that record, I think single-mindedly, a person can join ISKCON hearing that record and stay in ISKCON with that record, getting the purport to the record as becoming elevated to the point of face-to-face contact with Krishna.
Nara Narayan
I
Prabhu.
didn't know that had a purport, so that's I would like to find out to read the purport. And yeah, I think Prabhupada dealt with a lot of different
Well,
aggressive.
that record did have a purport on the back of it. If you've ever seen the original back of it, it's a quote which I think Prabhupada gives a whole back of the page thing with small type, a discussion on Krishna consciousness, which I think was probably written by and delivered originally by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
So, Nimai Nitai Prabhu, would you like to comment on what is the fall down? Nara Narayan Prabhu gave her answer, but I don't think it was very clear.
From now on, I think we should have Nimai Nitai.
Go ahead, Prabhu. Nimai Nitai
No, I
Prabhu.
mean, what Nara Narayan Prabhu has said is a good, very good way to put it, because actually, the desire, you see, if I commit offense to my spiritual master, and I do not rectify that offense, that is a fall down. And the effect of that would be that we will be losing faith in the words of the spiritual master. Material desire will come in the heart. I can tend to become Mayavad, right? We have instances like this in the CC where Ishvarapuri was being offended by one of his disciples, and his disciple became a Mayavad. So we see that just like with Radhanath Swami. He's a Mayavad now, right? He's not a devotee anymore. So that is due to his offense. So the effects of the fall down can be manifold. But the real substance is just like Nara Narayan Prabhu has said, is that you lack faith in the spiritual master. So committing an offense, if you rectify, then you are reinstated again. But if you do not, then you're always fallen,
Well, I gotta thank Radhanath Swami because his atheism or like his Mayavada kind of opened my eyes, because I saw a video of him saying, "Oh yeah, religion is bad." Then Prabhupada said, "Oh yeah, communists are against religion, and they're the worst." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Prabhupada called him out, and Prabhupada is right. He confirmed my doubts.
That is actually, yes. This is Prabhupada's shelter upon you. So for a devotee who takes shelter of Srila Prabhupada, even Maya will help him advance spiritually. Maya cannot touch. That's the meaning. Radhanath Swami is under the spell of Maya and he's deluding some people, but for you, he's a source of spiritual advancement. So because you're taking shelter of the internal potency. So for a devotee, there's no actual reverse, because even so-called Maya is a source of spiritual advancement.
All right, so here's a Srimad Bhagavatam class from Srila Prabhupada in New York. He's mentioning initiation here. The official initiation has no meaning unless one who has fully surrendered to Guru. There is no question of initiation. Divya Gyan Hriday Propashito. Divya Gyan means transcendental knowledge. So to play tricks with Guru, to become diplomat and intriguer, these rascaldom will not help Bhagavad Bhakti Yoga. You can get some other thing, some material profit, but spiritual life will be spoiled. So Prabhupada,
Surprisingly, there's a lot of lazy people that don't understand what do they have. Well, even I don't understand. I'm like getting there slowly since I'm listening to Prabhupada every day now. And I've heard he was giving a purport on Samsara Dava, and it started by like, how does a fire start in a forest? And he was saying about like in New York, he used to hear like the firefighters every day, every minute, constantly for buildings. But when the fire happens in a forest, you can't do anything. You can't throw buckets of water or anything. And how does the fire start? It doesn't start by like lightning or all that, but it starts by the wind. When the wind blows and the trees rub into each other, that creates a spark. And the first people to die out of it is the snakes, because they're on the ground and the dry grasses catch fire. And then he really connected it to like people's world, like the regular world. They were like, oh yeah, in the regular world, when there's the first when the calamity first happens, the envious die first.
Right. So that's why Prabhupada has given us these prayers. You know, we start the day with the Samsara Dava prayer. Then we have the, you know, Guru Chakudan Dinoje, right? So why is he so much emphasizing on Guru? Because this is our shelter. If we don't commit offense to the spiritual master, then our way back to Krishna is assured. If we surrender, you know, then it's for sure that we're going back. So the only danger is to commit offenses to Srila Prabhupada. And that's why ISKCON is an unplugged fan, because the offenses are being committed left, right, center. And concerning this, there's a nice verse in Bhagavatam. So it's Canto 7, Chapter 15, Text 26. So maybe you can put it on screen. I can read it here.
Okay,
So this is
7:15:26. 7:15:26.
Yeah. So the spiritual master should be considered to be directly the Supreme Lord, because he gives transcendental knowledge for enlightenment. Consequently, for one who maintains the material conception that the spiritual master is an ordinary human being, everything is frustrated. His enlightenment and his Vedic studies and knowledge are like the bathing of an elephant. So we all know, right? The example, the elephant goes to bathe and then throws dust on his body. So this is what is happening in ISKCON. Prabhupada's status as a completely liberated soul that comes down from the spiritual world is not being nourished. You know, us who are trying to follow Prabhupada, even us, we are not realizing this, but we are at least trying to realize who Prabhupada is, you know. But in ISKCON, this is being completely put aside, you know, to try to realize Prabhupada as being Sakshat Dharit Vena, right? As equals as Lord Hari. So that's what here it is said, his enlightenment and his Vedic studies, right? In ISKCON, don't they have this Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhava, Bhakti this? Wow, you know, I hosted a devotee from ISKCON a few weeks ago. He came, you know, I was not going to, tell him not to come. I said, all right, you know, for some days, I didn't mind. So he came, you know, we had some nice conversation actually on the rhythmic system and all even. And, I kind of defeated him in the arguments. So anyway, but he went through all those courses. He knows hundreds of verses. His deity worship is on another level. You know, he's got this nice, beautiful Radha Krishna deities that he got from Jagannath Puri temple, that were very old, and they belonged to to one of the previous acharya. He found them anyway, very special, beautiful deities. And he woke up at 2:30 in the morning, and he's doing all this puja. I looked at him, you know, very elaborate, you know, very beautiful. But he starts his puja by taking Jayapataka Swami's picture, and then Om Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Shtotara Shishima. Why is this prayer done to a man who is a conditioned soul? So you see, so his Vedic studies, his knowledge, everything is frustrated. It doesn't bear fruit because of the offenses that are done to Srila Prabhupada in the movement.
There's
something amazing.
Yeah. So I gotta say, they do have some good gadgets, and
that's what I'm saying. He's doing, you know, when it comes to deity worship, he's definitely much more advanced than me. When it comes to Sastra, quoting, remembering verses, definitely more than me.
Yeah, they're perfect when it comes to that.
He cannot get it right when it comes to who is the Mahabhagavata, who is the Madhyam, who is the Kanishta, because he's a Kanishta
mechanical things perfectly, but the subtle thing he can't.
Yeah, the realization is not there. The transcendental knowledge is not there. It's cut. It's a disconnected. That's all it is. It's an unplugged fan.
So Nimai Nitai Prabhu, in your opinion, this other Prabhu you're talking about, do you think he'll go back to Godhead when he dies?
No, if he continues the way he's doing, he's not going back in this lifetime. There's no way about it, because you cannot take part into an assembly that is offending a pure devotee, not speaking out, and think that you're going back. You know, Krishna gave a very strong example with Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev is a Mahajan, you know, he's a pure devotee. And simply because he took part of Duryodhan. He took the anna of Duryodhan, right? The food, the gold. Simply because of this, he had to be on the opposite camps. He had to be killed. So how strict it is that we should not at all cooperate, not even 1%, with the offenders. You must keep complete separation. So because he's not willing to completely separate, he has got this mundane attachment for Jayapataka Swami. He cannot make it back in this life.
It's basically sense gratification at this point. And yeah, and I shared a lecture, Bhagavad Gita 126, 1.26 with Ramachandra Dasa Prabhu. It said that yeah, Arjuna was insulted, banished, taken away, all that. But when like saying Prabhupada's words, when it's time to kill them, he said no, let them excuse. He said let them excuse, but Krishna doesn't want. If you insult his devotee, the devotee will excuse, but the Krishna will not excuse. That's his position.
Yes. So if we take part in this, I mean, recently Puranjana Prabhu has, he did like a brief history of ISKCON part 1 and 2, and you can hear, like us who are much younger, we're not born at that time and all, we might have much less information of what took place. But, I listened to that and I did not know 70% of the things that he spoke of, on how these gurus deviated. They had machine guns, there was drugs, there was trafficking, there was child molesting. So how can you think that you're going back to Godhead when you're taking part in a society which is harboring offenders and criminals? And how can you even think that you have a chance? You must stand. Spiritual life is you're right or you're wrong. You cannot be in the middle. At one point you need to make a choice. You can be innocent for some time, but you cannot be innocent forever. That's not possible. Like, let's say you're in ISKCON, you just joined, you read Prabhupada books. Oh, this is wonderful. I want the real thing. Then you're innocent. But after a while, you're starting to hear things. Krishna is trying to show you things. And then Krishna is testing you. He's going to show you things. You're going to meet someone who's going to preach you about the rhythmic system. If you turn your back, well, okay, you've lost one test, And in this way, more and more and more, after some time, you're who you are. You are there or you're here. So Krishna is making distinctions like that. And that is spoken in Adi Lila, chapter 12, text 8. Those verses are very important, text 8 to 12. If you want to go see this.
8 to 12, okay.
Yes, CC Adi.
CC Adi? Okay.
12. Yeah.
Adi 8 to 12, okay.
Yeah, what really got me today is that I heard about how they brought back the child beater. I don't know his name, the homosexual, and he was really describing it, how he busted people's ears and everything.
This is, if you want to open the can of worms, there's no end. I mean, they've put we all know some things we can all pitch in, right? But the point is that they are completely fallen. They have disobeyed Srila Prabhupada. So the manifestation of how they fall, that will come in so many different ways. But the point is that they have disobeyed the pure devotee who has come to save them. And that is the offense.
Did the offense start? Who was the first offender?
Why does it matter?
The offense started because we are in the material world. We left Krishna. That's when the offense started. So we are all offensive. It's not that we are not offensive. Us also are offensive. But at least we're trying to correct that offense. We're going back into saying sorry to the Lord. So then when Srila Prabhupada came to them, that is the Lord's mercy. The Lord is extending his hand. And if you're again, disrespecting the Acharya who comes from the spiritual world, then how you can go back to Krishna? There's no way. So these verses are very important because they show what happened to Gaudiya Math and they show exactly what's happening in ISKCON right now.
But we have the power to rescue ISKCON. No one had the power to rescue Gaudiya Math, including Prabhupada. He left Gaudiya Math, created ISKCON, and it became the global force that Bhaktisiddhanta was talking about.
Yeah, that is
of course, I mean, we try our best to follow Prabhupada's instruction. ISKCON is in Krishna's hands, you know. We try the best to reestablish whatever Prabhupada has given us. That is
But
what we
For corporate.
I would say it's not the main point. It's not the main point that Prabhupada distributed everything everywhere. All the books, all the conclusions, all the melodies, all the chanting, everything he distributed without reservation, without looking to see, or you know your gotra? Oh no, you can't hear it, you know.
Yeah, reading
To-
Prabhupada's books is really important because
Yeah.
I didn't know. I got this the original first canto, first book of the Bhagavatam from the San Francisco Rath Yatra. They were just getting rid of old books, and I just gave
Oh my
$1
God.
to the guy, and I got it. And yeah, I was going to school, and on the bus I was reading it, and I found out something new. How like Sriyodakshay Vishnu comes and Garbhodakshay, and how that all is set up. So I was like, wow.
yeah, so much
That's
knowledge.
amazing. Where
Nimai
did you
Nitai,
go to-
Prabhu, what verse? 7 what? ID 7?
Sorry, Adi 12:8.
ID 12:8, okay.
Yeah. So
where did you go to school?
I'm in San Mateo County, so Mills High School and College of San Mateo.
Well, you didn't go to college in San Francisco.
No, I went to parties there, but yeah.
Okay, never mind. Just a trivial question.
Oh no.
Creating a form of relatedness.
Oh well,
But-
you're from here too, or what?
But yeah, we welcome you.
Okay, here we go. Let's.
Wouldn't you say that, Ramachandra? We welcome him unconditionally.
He's always welcomed.
Yes, and you
Yeah,
can
thank you.
co-host and work with us on this League for 10K.
Oh yeah, of course. We'll take it
you
far.
can be. Yeah, I'm supposed.
No, Prabhu, Narayan Prabhu, let's read. We don't have much time. Narayan Prabhu.
Okay, let's go for
Yeah,
it.
we'll connect later.
Okay, Nimai
Okay.
Nitai, Prabhu.
yes, so this is Adi 12:8. So at first, the followers of Advaita Acharya shared a single opinion, but later they followed two different opinions as ordained by providence. Okay. So purport, the words Daivaira Karana indicate that by dint of providence or by God's will, the followers of Advaita Acharya divided into two parties. Such disagreement among the disciples of one Acharya is also found among the members of Gaudiya Math. In the beginning, during the presence of Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Parivakacharya Shtotara Shashit, Shishimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, all the disciples worked in agreement. But just after his disappearance, they disagreed. One party strictly followed the instructions of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but another group created their own concoction about executing his desires. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, at the time of his departure, requested all his disciples to form a governing body and conduct missionary activities cooperatively. He did not instruct a particular man to become the next Acharya, but just after his passing away, his leading secretaries made plans, so that is Shridhar Maharaj, without authority to occupy the post of Acharya, and they split into two factions over who the next Acharya would be. Consequently, both factions were asara, or useless, because they had no authority, having disobeyed the order of the spiritual master, despite the spiritual master's order to form a governing body and execute the missionary activities of the Gaudiya Math. The two unauthorized factions began litigation that is still going on after 40 years with no decision. So you see, Prabhupada here is quoting Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati saying, yes, you know, he said, make a GBC, conduct the mission. Exactly the same thing that Prabhupada did, but Prabhupada added the system by which initiations can be carried out, you know. But so actually, what happened with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, even though it's disobedience to him, is more comprehensible than what is happening now. My point is, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati did not give any system by which initiation would continue. So, you know, by mundane logic, you could think, oh, you know, somebody else has to come in now to fill the gap, and what a huge gap, right? 26, I believe, he disappeared, and Prabhupada started in 1966. That's a 40 years gap without an active Acharya acting on the planet. You know, I could speculate and say, wow, I have to save the parampara system. I have to fill in this 40 years gap with some, you know, gurus and this and that. But, you know, Krishna has his plan. You
Yeah, I
cannot
think
speculate.
it's true.
Exactly. But us, we have got the system, you know, that Prabhupada has left us, and they're kicking away that system. So it's even more of an offense than what happened with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And I continue reading. So therefore, we do not belong to any faction, but because the two parties busy dividing the material assets of the Gaudiya Math institution stopped the preaching work, we took up the mission of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur to preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world under the protection of all the predecessors acharyas. And we find that our humble attempt has been successful. We follow the principles especially explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita verse, Yavasyatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana. According to this instruction of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it is the duty of the disciple to follow strictly the orders of his spiritual master. The secret of success and advancement in spiritual life is the firm faith of the disciple in the orders of the spiritual master. So Prabhupada here is saying that actually following the desire to preach, that is real surrender, you know. And you can see what is ISKCON doing now. All the temples in the West are filled, you know, with Hindus, or there's no life as it used to be. So actually they're satisfied just enjoying the position of being worshipped, but nobody's doing the work, you know. Yeah, okay. So to one who has staunch faith in the words of the spiritual master and the words of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the secret of success in Vedic knowledge is revealed. The Krishna consciousness movement is being propagated according to this principle, and therefore our preaching work is going on successfully, in spite of many impediments offered by antagonistic demons, because we're getting positive help from our previous acharyas. One must judge every action by its result. The members of the self-appointed acharyas party who occupy the property of the Gaudiya Math are satisfied, but they can make no progress in preaching. Therefore, by the result of their actions, one should know that they are asara, or useless, whereas the success of the ISKCON party, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which strictly follows Guru and Gauranga, is increasing daily all over the world. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to print as many books as possible and distribute them all over the world. We have tried our best in this connection, and we are getting results beyond expectations. So the same thing is happening here also. You know, how can 70, how many are there now? 70 initiating gurus, something like that.
70 or
How
17? 70.
70, yeah.
Oh,
It's
70.
85.
Yeah. So 50 to 70, something like that. So how is it that
It's
there's so
85.
many? Sorry?
85.
35. I thought it was more than
85.
that. List.
Eight-
Oh, 85. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So how is it that there's so many so-called advanced devotee, but the movement is not increasing? It's dwindling everywhere. So then the next verse, why these verses are important, because we understand that it's actually Krishna's arrangement. So we'll try to go a bit faster. So this is verse 9. So some of the disciples strictly accepted the orders of the Acharya, and others deviated independently, concocting their own opinions under the spell of Daivi Maya. So what are those opinions? Prabhupada spoke about it. All right, GBC is going to elect some gurus and this and that. These are all opinions or concoctions. You know,
They wanted someone else to do their job.
To do well. They want this position of guru, you know. Amara Gunu, you know, to be guru is not wrong. We should actually become guru, but on the order, that's the whole subtlety is there, is the desire, you know. But now that Prabhupada is giving a rhythmic system, there's no need to try to become Diksha Guru. We just push on this movement and that's all. But to become guru is important, even Shiksha Guru, because that means you are completely surrendered to your spiritual master and you're capable of bringing other devotees along. So it's good to become guru, but on the order, not because I want to sit on the high seat. I want to, you know, because Prabhupada many times he said it. I want you to become guru. I want you to become bona fide gurus and this. So Prabhupada wants that. But if they do it not on the order of Prabhupada, prematurely, because they want to be the big shot and everything, this is when the whole thing falls apart. You see. Because Prabhupada did it, right? His spiritual master ordered him, you go and preach. That means what? You become guru.
Yeah.
So he did it. But on the order, he had no personal motivation in doing that. He was happy in Vrindavan.
Yeah, like when Prabhupada accepted worship from all the disciples, he was very confident, and he like it looked perfect when he like accepted all the like obeisances from everyone. But when these people do it, it just looks weird and off.
Yes, because he's transparent. Prabhupada is transparent via medium between Krishna and us. He everything he gets, he immediately offers to the Lord. There's nothing for his personal enjoyment. No. Okay, verse 10. The order of the spiritual master is the active principle in spiritual life. Anyone who disobeys the order of the spiritual master immediately becomes useless. So active principle, that means the only way we can perform spiritual life is with Prabhupada's orders. That's all. Otherwise, we have no access to this realm. Prabhupada is telling us, wake up in the morning, do Mangalarti. If I do it, I enter spiritual life. That's all. That's the only way I have access. It's just by Prabhupada's orders. So if you disobey, how are you going to get to Krishna? There's no way. And then here the purport. Here's the opinion of Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. Persons who strictly follow the orders of the spiritual master are useful in executing the will of the Supreme, whereas persons who deviate from the strict order of the spiritual master are useless. Just see the word that are being used here, useless. So we cannot go easy on the ISKCON people. You know, of course, we can be merciful for those who are seeking, but we cannot say, no, they also make some advancement and this. No, here it is said, it's useless. It's the elephant. Yes, you're doing everything nicely. You're doing your puja, everything, but it's useless because you're throwing dust back again. You're committing offense the next moment that you finish, you know?
Yeah, for a second, I thought I was wrong for criticizing the ISKCON people. Then I ran into the Sangha.
We must be very strict, but we respect them. Okay, the devotees in ISKCON, they're devotees, no doubt, but they're offenders at the same time. The leaders, it's another thing though. They're the real cheaters. Them we should not even have a pinch of mercy because we're not qualified to have mercy on these people. Only the Uttamadhikari can be merciful to such offenders. Us, we should really.
Yeah. I got saved by the Sangha and Ramachandra Das and his crew. Thank you.
So there's no need to name those who are useless. I have mentioned them only to distinguish them from the useful. Okay, and now the last verse important in that sequence is 12. Paddy is mixed with straw at first, and one must fan it to separate the paddy from the straw. Prabhupada is saying, this example given by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami is very appropriate. In the case of the Gaudiya Math members, one can apply a similar process. There are many disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but to judge who is actually his disciple, to divide the useful from the useless, one must measure the activities of such disciples in executing the will of the spiritual master. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur tried his best to spread the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to countries outside India. That's an important point. Outside India, that is Prabhupada's mission, to spread Krishna consciousness, especially outside India. But we see outside India, Krishna consciousness is dying. They go in India and they're big shot guru, people bow down to them. Yeah, but that's not what Prabhupada was ordered to do. Then when he was present, he patronized the disciples to go outside India to preach the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But they were unsuccessful because within their minds, they were not actually serious about preaching his cult. That's the thing. They're not serious, to follow Prabhupada's instruction. His cult in foreign country, they simply wanted to take credit for having gone to foreign lands and utilize this recognition in India by advertising themselves as repatriated preachers. Many Swamis have adopted this hypocritical means of preaching for the last 80 years or more, but no one could preach the real cult of Krishna consciousness all over the world. They merely came back to India, falsely advertising that they had converted all the foreigners to the ideas of Vedanta or Krishna consciousness, and they collected some funds in India and lived satisfied lives of material comfort. As one fans paddy to separate the real paddy from useless straw, by accepting the criterion recommended by Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, one can very easily understand who is a genuine world preacher and who is useless. So the point I'd like to say is that in the 8th verse, it says, this is done by providence. So providence means Krishna's arrangement in the material world. In other words, all of this that is happening in ISKCON, it's Krishna's arrangement also. He wants to separate the paddy from the rice. You see, he wants to see who is genuine and who isn't. So if you stay in ISKCON, you're not genuine. You cannot be genuine if you remain in ISKCON. There's no way.
Yeah, what I got from it is that at the end of the day, what the whole thing is that they don't have any love for Krishna.
Well, it is very, very little. It is mixed with so much material desires that it is very hard to perceive.
Okay, there's some comments from our devotees here, Prabhus. So whoever made the comment, if they can, please state their comment here. Vinayak Prabhu, you made some comments, so kindly can you read it?
Yeah, Prabhu. So yeah, Nimai Nitai Prabhu, I'm the Vinayak from Japan, whom we talked few months ago. And so Prabhu, there is some arguments. There are some arguments that that might be valid, because in India we can see that there are like these maybe Kanishta Adhikari and whatever, we can say that these gurus, they are having like thousands of disciples, like Japataka Maharaj having 60,000, Gopal Krishna 40,000, Radhanath Maharaj around 20-30,000 and all this. And even if we see on the Prabhupada Anuga side, like their disciples or their followers are also mostly visible in India only. So if we see by that logic, like most of the people, like our basic is like following 16 rounds and 4 regulative principles. If a basic standard we keep like that, and of course reading Srila Prabhupada's books also. So these kind of thousands of followers ISKCON is also having, and Prabhupada Anuga camp is also following. And if we see the numbers, then of course ISKCON is having more numbers, and whatever the temples are there across the world, they are also of ISKCON only. And if foreign disciples also, if we in numbers we compare, then of course ISKCON is having more number of foreign
Yes.
disciples. And
Okay, so
followers
first
of 16
thing,
rounds and everything
yes.
that we have.
All right. So first thing, why are they going to ISKCON? What is bringing them there?
Prabhupada's books, and of course
Yes.
inclination towards some spirituality.
So yes, they have got this initial faith, Shraddha is there, but then Prabhupada's books is there. So Prabhupada is bringing these people to ISKCON. He's bringing them to him, through his books. And it's not about the quantity of the followers, it's about the quality. Srila Prabhupada always stress about the moon. He says, I don't care for all these stars. If I can get one real man, really Krishna conscious, my mission will be successful. If it's about the followers, then Sadguru is the best, isn't it? So, and you're saying 4 regulative principles and 16 rounds. I have my doubts. How do you know that all these disciples are following 16 rounds, chanting 16 rounds and following the 4 regulative principles? You're not there with them.
Yeah,
There's
I know
definitely
many who don't follow.
Exactly. So there's a lot of struggle. I have some stories, just like there was, His Grace Sundagopal Prabhu's younger sister. In the time she was in ISKCON, she was chanting her 16 rounds. She was not initiated yet. As soon as she got initiated by Jayapataka Swami, the next day she could not chant her 16 rounds. So we also have some of those stories. So it's not about the quantity. It's about the quality. Otherwise, Gaudiya Math also has got so many devotees, right? They've got temples here and there. But here it is said they're asara, useless. Because the whole point is to go back to Krishna, is to develop Krishna prema. So if you cannot get there, then you're useless. If you simply remain on the third class platform, committing offenses left and right, this is not what the spiritual life is about. Spiritual life is about surrendering to Krishna, and you do that through the pure devotee. So we're not very much impressed by the number of followers. What is the use of so many followers that don't even understand the philosophy? This is not. Yeah. They have many followers. Why? Because they're diluting. Just like Jayapataka Swami, he's saying, yes, women can be also Diksha Guru. So, a whole bunch of women will be like, oh, this is so nice. We also can, be big. So he's fueling their material desire. Of course, you're going to be attracting a lot of people like that. Gaur Gopal, right? The way he speaks, it's all mundane talks and motivation. So he's got millions of people listening to him. But what is the value of these people? Yeah, he's always making jokes. So he's attracting a lot of followers, and they're saying, oh, look, he's good. He's bringing a lot of people to ISKCON. Yeah, but why are these people coming? With which motive are they coming? They're not coming to get the real thing. They're attracted by what you're presenting. So what you're presenting is contaminated. So they come for that. So if you start to preach them the real thing, they will leave. Or they will stay and try to corrupt the real message with what they were attracted with in the first place. And this is the danger. When you don't preach the way that Srila Prabhupada has taught you to preach, and you introduce this yoga dance, you introduce this thing, that thing, then you attract more mass. No doubt. There's more people attracted to cheap stuff, right? But then these people, they stay in the movement. They don't want to leave. And they try to establish what they have, their own deviations. And then this is the birth of an Apasampradaya. Now in ISKCON, you've got so many sahajyas. You've got so many people who still do yoga. Yeah, I mean, it's a mess because they're not preaching according to what Prabhupada has taught us.
Yeah, Prabhu, like if we think about if we see about the arguments and about this topic, then also these things could be said that in our camps also, I know few people like who are not following 16 rounds and all these things and who eat, and who there are also fall downs. Even during Prabhupada's times, there used to be men who did not chant 16 rounds and regulated principles and those things. So that does not mean that we can also question the potency of Prabhupada because his disciples are not following regulated principles or something like that.
Yes.
However,
So for the Kanishta Dikari, if he has some temporary fall down, that is natural because he's beginning, he's trying to follow the regulative principles. So some temporary fall down, that's all right for the Kanishta, the neophyte. But what about the leaders? How come the gurus are falling down? That is another thing. The newcomers, they have some difficulty in their spiritual life. That I can understand. But your guru is having some illicit affair with a man, with a woman. He's keeping some secretary girl with him all the time. All this stuff. This is cheating. We cannot. Yes, this is not a new thing. It was there even at the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All these Baula and all, they were like so-called renounced, and they were doing this Raslila with. So this is something that has been going on, especially in this age of Kali. So those cheater gurus, they pose as Vaishnavas. They take the post of worship. They enjoy all the facilities. So we cannot. They have stole the work of Srila Prabhupada. Let them do the same thing. But give back the temple to Prabhupada, give back the books to Prabhupada. Now you try on your own. Let's see how many followers they'll get. These people are nothing. If they go out of ISKCON and they try on their own to do something, nobody will know about them. Simply because Prabhupada has put ISKCON on the map, and these people are there, do they appear to be important? The bug on the king's lap, right? Prabhupada said, because the bug is on the kid's lap, it's got a great position. But if you take that bug, you put it in the street, what is it? These people have got no potency. Us, we are starting with nothing. We don't have the temple that Prabhupada have. We don't have, the fame and everything, but we have the books and we have the preaching spirit. And that is what matters. And give us some time. There's a 10,000 years golden age, isn't it? Give us some time. There will be, this movement will rise from the ashes of ISKCON. We'll
reopen the Frederick Street Temple.
Yeah, it has to be done.
Okay, let's see if there were some more comments. Sammy, Prabhu, you made some comments, Prabhu. Do you want to unmute yourself and speak?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Prabhu, I just answered the other Prabhu's, Vinayak Prabhu's question. So there was nothing else to add.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Vinayak Prabhu, anything else, Prabhu, from Japan?
yeah, about the book distribution numbers, of course, ISKCON is having a higher book distribution numbers also.
Yeah, 300,000 books. Disgusting.
Yeah. So this is another thing. Of course, Prabhupada, if you distribute Srila Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada will be pleased. Okay, of course, they have changed the books. That's another whole topic. They've done some changes. So Prabhupada is definitely not pleased with that. But we cannot also say that the change books are 100% useless, because some devotees are, after all, coming, just like I have some friends, they now have accepted the rhythmic system. They came through the change books. And especially like in India, all the books in Hindi, Malayalam, Tamil, it's all from the change book, So it's not that Krishna is going to be punishing the reader for the offense committed by someone else. And in every page, still the philosophy is there, right? You must surrender to Krishna. You must. So definitely, it's an offense to have changed Prabhupada's books, but it doesn't mean that me, the offender, I'm going to be changing the book and blocking Prabhupada from acting to the other. I'm more powerful than Prabhupada by changing some 1% here and there. No. So these books still have potency if the person is sincere. If the person is insincere, even the non-change book are useless for him. You see, so it's about the sincerity of the performer, the devotee. So, okay, you're distributing Prabhupada's books. A lot of people are coming. That's all right. But where are you leading them? You see, if I'm using something that is pure to attract someone and lead him into the tiger's mouth, and I'm saying, hey, I have something pure in my hand. Yes, but what is the outcome of your attracting people? You're sending them into a tiger's mouth. So the process is contaminated. We're not here to discuss what is good in ISKCON, what is bad. As soon as there's some offenses to the pure devotee, the whole thing cannot go on. So they're distributing Prabhupada books. Great, wonderful. That's nice. That's good. A lot of people are going to read about Krishna. But then to complete the process, you're not helping them at all. You're telling them after that, you must take initiation. Oh, from who? From Radhanath Swami. Well, I'm sorry, sir, but we have so many verses here that say that if you take initiation from a bogus man, you have to go to hell with him. So what about that?
Right? One of the arguments I heard for the change books from the doctor guy, Yeshrivanand, he said, oh yeah, the change books, yeah, it's fine. The verses are the same. The verses are original. So yeah.
No, so, I mean, if you have the choice, you should distribute only Prabhupada original book. There's no doubt about this. There's no doubt about that. But if you don't have a choice, let's say someone wants a Bhagavad Gita and you have a changed Gita in your hand, you won't give it to him?
No. Because I mean, I had
I'll give it.
I had to read the changed Gita and I could not understand like anything. I was like, what? And I was asking the guy in a challenging way. It's like, what is this thing saying? Because I knew it was changed. And I think on purpose I didn't get it, but yeah, it was really confusing. So
this is a long topic. We've actually written a paper on that, and if I can summarize this is that the offense of changing Prabhupada's books is definitely great, and there's no doubt that it is great. But if you come to a point where there's absolutely, I'll give you an example. In Singapore, this is our headquarters of ISKM headquarters. We're having a big fair to distribute books, okay? And we ordered some unchanged Gita in English from, I believe, Bangalore. I think they had something, and KBI. So we ordered only unchanged books. They shipped us a crate of original and a crate of changed books. That's not what we ordered, but the fair was going on. And we sold out all our original Gitas, and people were still asking for Gitas. So we sold the change one also. We had no choice. We could not, tell them, no, I'll get your number, I'll call you back in 1 month. And this, no, the person is here. Let me get his contact, let him get the book. At least Prabhupada is speaking to him. Prabhupada is saying, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, your eternal servant. All this is there. Okay, and later on, this fact that yes, it's a change book, rhythmic system, all of that, you can cultivate the person and then sharpen his understanding of the philosophy,
Oh yeah, or but before you give the book to him, just tell him it's changed.
Well, you can also, what is he going to understand? Change. What is he going to understand? He knows nothing, Yeah. And the person doesn't even know that eating meat is wrong. And you're starting to, you don't discuss some subtle subject matter like that in the beginning. You first of all start him to chant Hare Krishna, read, and later on these things can be cultivated,
Yeah.
So because if you think that the offender has changed a few words here and there and he's blocking Srila Prabhupada from acting, then you're glorifying the offender basically, because you know how powerful he is that he's blocking Prabhupada.
Yes.
So Prabhupada can act. Yes.
Do you think that the whatever the preaching of this song, are they providing a base for us to teach? Like because they are teaching like these meat eaters and drug addicts and whatever, they are bringing them to basic Vaishnava Sadachar and all those things. So after that, is it our duty to teach to them about what the real thing is about the
Well,
original truth, Srila
that we
Prabhupada?
were discussing. That we were discussing. They are at least Kanishta Adhikari. They are starting the process somehow, but they cannot continue. They cannot pass that stage. They cannot reach they cannot properly reach the stage of Madhyama Adhikari or Nishta, being Nishta, being completely steady in devotional life, having strong faith. They cannot go there. So therefore, that's why we have to make some noise. We have to, all these meetings that you're doing, you're uploading online, that's good because some people will come, they will hear, oh yeah, there's these deviations happening in ISKCON, and they will study the philosophy more and more. And then they will be able to make further advancement. But if they stay in ISKCON in their little, cult, no, my guru Maharaj, he's
He's the best.
Mahajan, he's the best, he's better than all the. If you stay like that, then how you can make any advancement?
He's so
You
pure.
run on sentiment. You don't run on actual transcendental
Logic.
knowledge. So actually all these people who are reading Prabhupada books and going to ISKCON, actually they should be coming to us because we are representing Prabhupada properly, not ISKCON. So all these followers that you're saying ISKCON is growing, having so actually we should be getting them. So that's why we have to
We need center.
make. We need centers is very important because you have to get trained up. You
Daily
need to be, with the devotees to wake up in the morning, do Mangal Arti. You have to follow Prabhupada's instruction. Prabhupada's books is not just reading. Prabhupada tells us you need to do Mangal Arti. You need to have, eat only Krishna Prasadam, not eat outside food. You have to worship the deity. You have to discuss Bhagavatam in the morning. So the whole program that was there in ISKCON, just like Prabhupada was there, you just copy paste that. That's it. You just accept this and you add the rhythmic system of initiation, and that's it. You have your movement. So but you need to have devotees that are strong to act as the leaders of this movement, that are dedicated to Prabhupada. Because yes, Prabhupada is the Diksha Guru, but that doesn't mean that we should not accept any physical authority. Prabhupada was very much stressing that even in that time, that you must work under the guidance of the temple president. What is a temple president? It's a physical authority. He's acting as a Shiksha Guru, right? He's telling you, you do this, you don't do that, you do this, now you go on Sankirtan, now you come. Yeah. So there is obedience. Prabhupada said obedience, what is that? Discipline is the first law.
Obedience
Right.
is the first law of discipline.
Exactly. So without obedience, how you can manage an international society, Prabhupada was saying. So it's not that, oh, the authorities were bad, we kick out all authorities, no more authorities. You don't throw the baby with the bath water. Authority still has to be there, but you need to know now. Now we've seen the mistake. Now we know what is bad. So now you have to find out, okay, who is a genuine physical authority that I can follow, that is not going to be cheating me, is going to be guiding me properly to Prabhupada. That's the person whom you follow. Yes. And Prabhupada has protected us. Now we've got the rhythmic system. So, you just go along with this.
Sometimes it happens though, like the people whom we are preaching and we bring them to Srila Prabhupada, sometimes we try to become their authorities, and after that we observe that they have became more advanced than us. So this happened to me sometimes.
That's the best thing.
People whom I brought, they became more advanced than me. Then I start thinking that should I continue remaining being an authority to him, or should I be surrendered to him?
You want that?
Oh, but you see, there's always that's why there's a system that the one who has taken initiation first is considered as senior. So even if maybe I take an initiating later, but let's say I'm more realized than him, still I have to keep that he's my senior. You see, these are subtle etiquettes of the Vaishnava world. Just like here, Nara Narayan Prabhu is the most senior. We have to acknowledge that. So you don't jump over the senior devotees. You don't say, of course. Yes. And even, let's say, okay, even like the cheaters in ISKCON, the sannyasis and all, because they're sannyasis, they've got the ashram, it's not bad to, offer respect, but from afar. We know they're deviating, but still in order to not, rock the whole Varna ashram system, okay, just like Prabhupada said, there's no wrong to offering, obeisances to a Mayavadi sannyasi. So these kind of subtle etiquettes we need to maintain. It's important. So if someone has become more advanced than you, then all glories to him. That's nice for him, But if, let's say,
Yeah.
you took initiation before him, then he should still see you as a senior god brother, So these things we have to learn in the association of devotees. It's hard to understand everything when we remain alone, That's why we have to be part of a temple,
Yeah,
and
that's why
Mm.
all glories to Nara Narayan Prabhu for making this video call and everything. He has been doing since long time.
Yes,
At
and
least
please,
some
Narayan
appreciation
Prabhu,
we are getting.
I would like to apologize to Nara Narayan Prabhu because I'm speaking a lot now,
No,
So I don't.
I am relishing, just like a desert is absorbing the rainfall.
Thank you
You're
very much.
excellent. I
Yeah.
want to see you here, all of us, and I want to take part with you in the give and take of what to do next.
Yeah, I'd like
Yes,
to be proud.
My respect for
I
you is almost impossible to measure.
Yeah, I'd like to
so,
make
so
all senior
all glories
devotees.
to you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's just like what Prabhupada told us when you were there. What you have experienced, Prabhu, Narayan Prabhu. We just need
Yeah.
to replicate that. We need to replicate that. So you actually tasted it. You knew what it was when the Mahabhagavata was physically present. You've experienced something that we might not be able to experience in our lifetime. So we have to
But we can
get
replicate that situation.
Yes, that's it.
And that's what the League for 10K is all about. Creating a situation with Prabhupada in the center that can go on for decades and centuries and millennia without deteriorating into the ISKCON that we are watching now.
Right. So by implementing this rhythmic system, maybe I can speak just a little bit of, so we have this ISKM, International Shri Krishna Mandir. The name came out of some circumstance. Anyway, so His Grace Sundar Gopal Prabhu, in the beginning, he was in ISKCON. He took initiation by letter by Prabhupada in 1977, towards the end. So he never met Prabhupada physically. So he was initiated by letter, by first initiation only. And then later on, when Prabhupada disappeared, they told him, oh, you have to take second initiation from Hamsadutta. So he was thinking that these people know what they're talking about. So he took from Hamsadutta, very quickly, of course, he found out how fallen he was. So he understood that there's some, there's something wrong in the movement. So later on, there was the three, like Madhu Pandit Prabhu, then there was Krishna Kant, and so Sundar Gopal Prabhu was with them in the beginning, and then they kind of broke away at first. And then Madhu Pandit Prabhu starting the initiation, I believe in 1997, I think they started the Rhythmic initiation. So Sundar Gopal Prabhu, then he tried to preach in Singapore, which is the only country that did not allow Prabhupada to go in. So Sundar Gopal Prabhu was sort of confused as to what to do. He was thinking, now how do I push the movement? He was trying. And then he had some meeting with some of other temple presidents who were also breaking away from ISKCON, and they said, why don't you try? Why don't you try to become, to act as an officiating acharya, to act as a rhythmic, whatever you want to call it, to represent Prabhupada when it comes to giving initiation. So he said, okay, so the first batch of initiated devotees in ISKM were made in 2007. That's when it started. And then he saw that, yes, it's actually working. Those devotees are advancing spiritually. Their faith in Prabhupada is developing more and more. And the whole thing works. Because that's an important thing, is that without initiation, there's no tangibility in the expansion of the movement. It's a fact that Prabhupada's books is the substance. That's what is, initiation means this, right? The transfer of transcendental knowledge. It's a process. That's how it's described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? So, but the external aspect, the technicalities, were also given to us by Prabhupada with this rhythmic system of initiation. So that also has to be implemented. So you can see this is from Madhya Lila, chapter 15, text 108 in the purport. I can read it shortly. So Diksha, this is from Sanatan Goswami's Hari Bhakti Vilas. Diksha is the process by which one can awaken his transcendental knowledge and vanquish all reactions caused by sinful activity. A person expert in the study of the revealed scriptures knows this process as Diksha. So Diksha is not just the fire sacrifice, it's a process. It's Srila Prabhupada's realization being communicated to, being given to us slowly and slowly. So this whole process is Diksha. Now, the fire sacrifice, the vow in front of the deities, all of this is also very important because you're basically signing a spiritual contract with Srila Prabhupada. You're saying, now, my dear Lord, I will follow the 4 regulative principles, chant the 16 rounds, and follow your instructions. And Prabhupada, on his side of the contract, he says, I'm going to bring you back to Krishna. So that is the manifest, the active surrender. You're showing it just like a marriage ceremony. The man and the woman, they get married together, not in private, not without nobody knowing about it. No, everybody knows. And there's a great celebration so that it's known to everyone. So similarly, you swear in front of the deities, you swear in front of Prabhupada, in front of the devotees, in front of the sacred fire. That makes a very strong bond, And then if you disobey later on, it's a greater offense also. But then it's solidified. So that transfer of transcendental knowledge, this Diksha process ends when one realizes Krishna. That is the end of it, And if you don't have, yes, Prabhu, Nara Narayan Prabhu, yes.
I would just like to offer one thing. In the May 28th and the so-called July 9th letter, Prabhupada introduced the idea of what? Oh my God, what's it called? The
Officiating Acharya.
what?
Officiating Acharya.
Yeah, officiating acharyas, and Tamal was able to squash that on both occasions and come up with the word rhythmic, which never appears in terms of initiation anywhere, although you may have better reading than I do on the topic. So that's all I wanted to say. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yes, yeah. No, you're right. Officiating acharya is a much more understandable term than rhythmic. Actually, that was the term that Prabhupada used first, right? Now, of course, we use the term rhythmic because it's famous, right? People at least understand that we don't accept ISKCON gurus. So that's why we go along with that. But officiating acharya is much better because you understand that the person is not the acharya, he's representing the acharya, right? Whereas a rhythmic in the scriptures is a priest. So that is very vague,
Yeah, but Rithvik doesn't do initiations. He just translates Shastra that is esoteric. If you see, I've never seen the word Rithvik used in a social environment, except by Narayan Maharaj, who used the word Rithvik to say he was the Rithvik that initiated Prabhupada to become
Sannyasi.
guru, to become a sannyasi.
Yeah.
So I recommend giving up the word Rithvik 100% and embracing the word as so.
Yes. So, we use the term rhythmic because for the moment, simply because people know what it is. In ISKCON, when you say rhythmic, they kind of understand. So, but I agree with you. The term officiating acharya is much... Let's
begin to translate that into officiating acharya, because I prefer Prabhupada's view over that of Tamal's.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, rhythmic is a bad word.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So we're about
10 o'clock.
So we're about 10 o'clock. So we're gonna end it in a minute or two. So thank you.
Have any? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Narayan.
Thank you, Nimai Nitai Prabhu, Nara Narayan Prabhu, Robert, Vinayak, and Sammy Prabhu, and Dimitri, and all the online viewers.
Glorious assembly.
Thank you.
All glory to the assembled devotee.
Nara Narayan Prabhu, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Take